Hi everyone, welcome back to Christmas in July with me. I will be reading another chapter of The Christmas Break, but I wanted to first mention about Sapphire Stars. As many of you know, I just received the contract for my very first poetry book. This has been a really long time coming. Poetry is something that I've been writing since the beginning, and it came before the books, and I wrote poetry while writing the books, and been putting this collection together, and it spans teen years into adulthood, perspectives. It's very honest, very passionate, and I really think you're gonna love it. And I want to thank all of you who have commented and liked on Facebook. I was overwhelmed in the best way by all of you and your support and love, and I'm just incredibly excited because the poetry is, like I said, it combines my love for music and writing. So it's a very strong reflection of who I am and how I put my ideas out into the world. So I will keep you updated on my author page, but I want to share that news with you, and thank you all again for your support. There's even a poem in there called Johnny, which, as those of you who have read Where You Are and As the Winds Change, Johnny is one of the main characters in the story. So one of the poems is actually called Johnny. And yeah, as I said, I'm just so excited for you to read it. Now, don't want to leave anything out, but I also think the poetry collection too, it was perfect to get the news during Christmas in July, because the colors that I use with Sapphire Stars, and I referenced dark blue, they're colors that appear in the fall and winter mostly. So a lot of the emotions conveyed in the poems, they're very fitting with Christmas time and deep emotions, deep colors, which are personally my favorite colors. So yeah, so I really think you're gonna like it. There's a great love for music incorporated, which is what I mentioned. And without further ado, this is Christmas in July. So I will be reading Chapter 2. We left off there last week. I'll be reading Chapter 2 of The Christmas Break. And it is titled, this particular chapter is titled, Sound the Bells. Can you hang the snowflakes? I asked Tiff, while I remove the summer and early fall clearance items and bring out the signature knits, corduroy, and holiday-themed clothing the locals have come to expect this time of year. Tiff created a website a while back, and some of the summer, spring, and early fall items end up doing pretty well on there even this time of year, probably because a lot of people in the city take their tropical vacations around Christmas time. It's already late, almost noon. It took me such a long time to get out of my parking space this morning due to the first snowstorm touching down. It's like this with the first real snow every year, and yet it still throws me. We all knew the storm was coming, and yet each year, Jack, the complex supervisor, needs to drive to the hardware store to pick up tools because his snowblower, that is as old as Mr. Mabel, stops working. The new standby shovel also somehow gets broken from one December to the next. The quirks of small-town living are real, and yet I wouldn't have it any other way. If everything were to be fixed right away, all of the time, there would be no pausing, and the bit of sweetness late this morning wouldn't have happened. Charlie! 5-year-old Sammy races toward me with boots that take up his entire legs, a big puffy blue coat, and a green and white striped hat with a white pom-pom on top. I can't help but notice what everyone wears, being a designer. I am a big believer that clothes do in fact reveal pieces of a personality. Sammy's outfit speaks wintertime to me, and a little boy who is all about it no matter what his little friends decide to do. When is Murray coming? Sammy's voice raises. A low breath of a chuckle spills from my heart to my mouth. Murray has become a tradition with the first snowstorm ever since that first season that I took over the festivities, and without fail, every year a child will remind me that it's time. Murray is the snowman that comes to town every year. I was really feeling the spirit of Christmas that first year. I thought Liam and I were far from a real commitment. It was early in the morning and the store wasn't officially opened yet. I pulled on my snow boots and ran out of the store while I still had time to spare, my heart bubbling with joy. I started with a small snowball, and before I knew it, inspiration struck. I was going to make a snowman as large as I dreamed of when I was a kid. Tiff had peeked out the front door of our shop, shook her head, and laughed. She took over when my snowman building ran into store hours. Where did Murray come from? I ended up modeling him after my favorite professor in design school. Mr. Murray was this big, heavy-set man who had the most joyful smile on his face all the time. I was convinced he held the key to happiness. I found out through the grapevine that Mr. Murray was so cheery all the time because he had been through the greatest heartbreak, losing his son, who was only 19 years old, to cancer. After this happened, he truly realized how fragile life is and refused to be anything less than happy and grateful for the life he had been given. He was also determined to honor the life that his son did not get to live out. He had been on my mind this Christmas in particular because I had heard that he had passed away a year before from the same cancer his son had, but this was not before he left the legacy he wanted to leave. He did honor his son through truly living his own life and always being a happy person. His mark was left in one key message in particular to all who had the pleasure of knowing him. This message was all about the importance of trying to always focus on the positive and be a bright light despite anything that may have you down. It's this attitude that will make your life one that will influence the future in the most brilliant and positive way. I also couldn't think of more of an inspiration for what Christmas in particular truly means, not taking a moment for granted. I rushed into the shop. "I'll clean it up," I remember shouting over my shoulder to Tiff as snow scattered in my wake. I found an old corduroy vest with dark brown buttons I had made for the men's line, something similar to what Mr. Murray would wear. I also found a dark brown newsboy cap and a red scarf, with a toy carrot for his nose, black buttons for his eyes, and pieces of a large thick stick that I broke into pieces to make a wide smile. Murray came to life. I will never forget Mr. Murray, and now he lives on through the happy snowman in town. I'd like to think that he knows about Murray, and he's smiling down on me and the town of Angelwood from heaven. The children were still in school when I brought Murray to life for the first time, so it was a big surprise when they finished for the day and their parents had brought them into town to pick up whatever they needed at a particular store. I recall standing by the window of my store, watching as their eyes caught sight of Murray, mouths wide open and arms shooting out to point at this new presence. I even saw a few older kids stopping for a moment. I'll never forget that day because it shows how important the little things that bring joy are. You can never outgrow those happy associations you initially made as a child. I placed my hand on Sammy's back. "Today," I say quick with cheer. "Yay!" He runs around in a circle. His reaction makes the emotions in my heart go straight to my glittering eyes. It feels amazing to make someone else so happy. Before I head home, I'm going to bring our snowman into town, I think, determined as I rummage through the storage room and see the cardboard box labeled Murray. My heart bubbles with excitement as I see my winter line, 3 racks and a number of boxes filled. I scurry over to the stereo system and officially turn on the Christmas station. I don't think it will ever stop feeling monumental to switch that black dial to raise the volume for the season. All of these first steps to bring in the festivities is tradition, and it's a comfort I forgot about when I was wallowing in self-pity with Liam and Nicole being back in town. The presents may not even faze me with all that I need and want to do. "Now it's beginning to look like Christmas," Tiff exclaims as I bring out stacks of sweaters on my arm. "Absolutely. These look great." I point up at the paper snowflakes the elementary school children made. Tiff just finished attaching a little over 30 snowflakes to the ceiling. We set up a medium-sized white-lit Christmas tree in the back center of the store, so it's the focal point when people first walk in. We have red bows as the decorations, as well as some ornaments that the children wanted to give us for the tree. We had Henry at the diner next door hang our wreath above the door, and as mentioned, it's nothing but Christmas music from now until New Year's Day playing on the stereo. Mrs. Elders is the first customer of the day. "Oh boy, look at these sweet sweaters," she beams, touching the fabric of the red sweater I had stitched the images of hot chocolate and snowflakes onto. "My niece would love this," she remarks, overjoyed as she hobbles up to the register with her starting to chip caramel-colored cane. "We're going to have to get a new one of those for you this Christmas, Mrs. Elders." I nod with a closed-lip grin to the cane she's leaning on. "Oh no, I love this guy. He's part of me now. We've been through a lot together." "Okay, but hypothetically speaking, if you were to get another cane, what color would you like?" Tiff gives Mrs. Elders a wink. "You know who bought me this cane, young lady?" "Walter?" "Yes, Walter, my love of almost 50 years. "That's so sweet," Tiff cuts in, her eyebrows raising together an exclamation. "And may you have that and more with your beau. I heard you two lovebirds are getting married." She places her hand on Tiff's. "That is true. Thank you, Mrs. Elders." "You're quite welcome." I look down with a smile, but suddenly feel very uncomfortable, and as if all the thoughts I'm trying so very hard to suppress are prancing in. "You're just the sweetest." Tiff takes hold of her hand. "Let me walk you out." "Thank you for the sweater, dear," she calls to me. "You're welcome," I cough out, my voice hoarse. Tiff puts her arm around Mrs. Elders as she carries out her bag. The day started off with a pow, so I shouldn't be surprised that it ended that way as well on this first day of Christmas holiday season in Angelwood. Our last customer for the day, as fate would have it, was none other than Angelwood High's head cheerleader the year I graduated, Shelby Marin. It may be over 15 years since high school, but when you live in a town like this one, your past never falls into the background for very long. Shelby Marin is fine. She's just exuberant. I don't mean Christmas exuberant. I mean at all times over-the-top, enthusiastic, and ready to share any and all gossip that floats through her eyes or ears. That I know of, I haven't been a subject in her path, but being careful of what you say or reveal is the mindset I feel the need to go into whenever I'm around Shelby. What I admire about her, though, is that she runs, all by herself, the elementary, middle, and high school music programs, and always puts together a fantastic show for the children each year at the festival. I never have to worry about that aspect of the celebration. She's also my go-to girl for executing fundraisers early on. Needless to say, I interact with Shelby quite a bit this time of year. "My girl!" She opens her arms wide, her curly blonde hair seeming to bounce without her even starting her way forward. I notice Tiff slide back into the storage room area. Tiff and Shelby basically stay out of each other's way as best as they can ever since Shelby went around spreading a rumor of what it must have meant seeing Tiff's now fiancé, Eric, having dinner in town with Alexandra Reinhardt. Alexandra is 2 years younger than us, and the dinner was for Alexandra to buy off Eric's old college textbooks. Shelby obviously construed that this was some sort of liaison, and this story kind of went around like a virus to the point where Tiff had to explain the truth to everyone in town. The hurt could have maybe been resolved had Shelby apologized, but that's not Shelby's style. In her opinion, she just reported what she saw and did nothing wrong. Who Shelby is, though, can never compare to the vindictiveness I personally see in Nicole. I push back my anger as I see Shelby's bright eyes looking eagerly at me. "Hey, Shelby," I go into her hug. "This place always looks so good. You've got a knack for Christmas and some pretty nice clothes." I try not to feel slighted about the pretty nice clothes statement. "Thanks, Shelby." "Well, you are a little Christmas elf. Definite improvement from Mr. McConnell," she says. Mr. McConnell in a deep, manly voice with an air of pomp. Mr. McConnell did have that voice, but he wasn't stuck up at all. He is a sweet man, but he had a lot on his plate in addition to the festival. Nah, Mr. McConnell was great, just a very busy man. I guess, she shrugs. "Oh my goodness, did you see Liam?" She suddenly remembers a piece of gossip she wanted to share. "He's staying in town this Christmas. Did you hear? I don't think he has been here for Christmas since you were together." She abruptly puts her hand on my shoulder, realizing what she just said. "Whoops, I'm sorry. Is that still hard for you?" I open my mouth to deny any heartbreak, but she doesn't pause long enough for me to respond. "Nah, I bet it's not. Look at you. You have your own clothing business, for goodness sake." I smile with my lips sealed shut, knowing I don't even need to exert the effort of talking. Shelby does all the talking until she runs out of steam. You're doing great, but oh my goodness, I think he's totally going to propose soon. There's just something about the way he walks with her, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I say. She has no idea how much I don't want to hear this. She raises her hand up as if she's suddenly unamused by the topic she brought up. Anyway, do you have those adorable pattern leggings? Marina, my little girl, goes crazy over them. Yes, I believe we do. Let me get them for you out of the back. Thanks. I head back feeling as if the wind has been knocked out of me. What is it about Liam and Nicole's walk together? A proposal? No, don't listen to her. I see Tiff folding clothes when I walk in. I grin at the way she's hiding out. Are you okay? She whispers. I nod, despite her knowing that I'm not by the flushed look on my face. She's just spewing at the mouth, Tiff consoles. Thanks, Tiff. Let me bring these out to her. I hold a pair of dark blue diamond pattern leggings. I hold them up to Shelby. What do you think? Do you have them in red? She's all about red right now, with the holidays and all. Let me check. I luckily find one pair left. You are fabulous, Shelby exclaims. She hands over her credit card to me as I package them and send her on her way. The kids are getting excited, she says over her shoulder. We've been working hard on our songs, making sure they're just right. That's great. I can't wait to hear them. Have a good night. You too, girl. The door rings closed as a whoosh of cool late afternoon air streams in. Tiff comes out of hiding. Ugh, that chick is exhausting. I laugh. Tell me about it. A few minutes after Shelby leaves, Eric comes in. Eric is a great guy. He is co-owner with Henry at the 50s themed diner next door, and he also has his own coffee business. He harvests the beans himself and packages out of his home through his website. He and Tiff met in college and have been together for about 12 years now. I can't believe it. It's surprising that they actually did wait so long before getting engaged. Hello, ladies. How's it going? Pretty good, baby. Tiff walks into his waiting lips. We got a lot of the decorations set up today. I watched the two of them kiss with a bit of envy. Okay, a lot of envy. The way his hands gently press against her side makes this moment seem so intimate and loaded with real love that I feel I should leave, but I can't help myself. I intently watch. She is precious to him. It's obvious. I internally whimper. That's how I thought Liam and I were. After Tiff and Eric leave, I grab the Murray box and get out into the snow in the center square of Main Street before the sun sets. I don't have time to dwell in angst. I have a very special snowman to bring to life. It's peaceful out here right now. Most of the people left for their homes about a half hour ago. The wind hums and the sky is a piercing dark blue with slashes of azure. I feel my heart thumping at the sight. Main Street is the exact center of the town, so I have the perfect view. Surrounded by white-capped peaks in the distance, I'm warmed by the sultry yellow glow of the lamplights lining each side of the street every couple of inches or so in front of every painted white building. I take a deep breath and begin. I get down on my knees and roll the snow until I have the base of the snowman that I want. Then I start all over again, as close to the base as possible to roll the snow into the second bowl for the middle. This one is more difficult because I have to lift this one, so when finished, I roll the second one up the side of the base. Whew, who needs the gym? I pant, out of breath, but exhilarated. I roll my shoulders to release some tension, and I wipe my snowy red gloves off on my pants. This yearly tradition makes me feel like a kid again. A grown woman making a snowman all by herself probably does look ridiculous, but I have to say that this is quite the self-defining moment. I haven't felt this truly authentic in a while. Even though I've done this every year, I think I have started operating on autopilot, and even this became too routine. I'm actually in the moment right now. This is good for me. Well, it was. I'm about to reach into the box for the eyes and nose when I see a form, less than a yard away, that I would recognize anywhere, swaggering sloppily toward me with an all-too-big smile on his face. I call the question despite knowing, with absolute certainty, exactly who it is. Liam? So that's the end of Chapter 2, and I will be back next week to start on Chapter 3. I hope you all enjoyed this reading, and you can get all of my books on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. Please review if you enjoy any of these stories, And I hope you're enjoying Where You Are, the new book, and the companion journal. And yeah, I will see you all next week. Thank you for coming.